Is anyone else's face itchy? Nah, whatever. Last weekend, we got the chance to go to the Pacific Northwest Reptile Show. It was amazing. We got some really awesome new animals, including some really cool stick bugs. That's why my face is itchy. So I'll show you what we got, show you some video from the Reptile Show. Let's get on with the episode.
What?
Look at the baby kangaroo, it's so cute!
That was a fantastic show. We're so glad we went and drove the almost 400 miles to go see the show, and hope you enjoyed the video of it. Didn't get a lot of video because by the time we got there, we didn't have a lot of time to just wander around and take video because we were there to look at some animals, and we basically ran out of time. In fact, there were a few tables we wanted to get to that we didn't even get back to. We should show you what we picked up at the show. First and foremost, and most important, number one on the list,
my new Chinese water dragon. So not including his tail, he's about this big.
Yeah.
He's still pretty shy, but we're hoping that soon he won't be as shy.
They tend to chill out when they get older. He'll hang out and sun himself, and as soon as we come into the room, he bolts for the water. Just like they do in nature, they live along the rivers, and when they get spooked, they dive into the water. They're great swimmers. They can hold their breath for over an hour, and so he does the same thing. He bolts straight for his water dish and hides under the water.
But my favorite part about him, yeah, he's so adorable.
It's always number one on the list. But yes, very cute. And so we were very excited that going to the show that Triple L Reptile, they had a couple of water dragons.
Triple L Reptile is where we picked up one of our snakes.
And he had some issues with eating and he wasn't doing very well, so they took really good care of us. And they sent us a new snake, and it was the snow corn snake that you saw in our first video, climbing through Gwen's glasses. So should we take a little look at our friend? Let's see if we can coax him out. So super adorable. And the funny, he's being silly right now. The funny thing about him is that when we got him, he's very shy and nervous. So we got him settled in, but still couldn't get him to eat. And we had super worms in there. We had some baby roaches in there and just couldn't get him to eat. I've been running some tests on some millipede substrate to make sure it's okay for our millipedes. And one way to do that is you throw some crickets in there in the dirt, because crickets are notoriously sensitive. If the crickets last more than a few days, you've probably got good substrate. I hate crickets. I loathe crickets. They are the worst. And we don't use crickets. We use roaches and other things. Within 2 seconds of that cricket being in the water dragon's cage, it was gone. So now we get to do crickets. Eventually, we will get to train the water dragon to eat better food. But as for now, it's just gorging on basically the water dragon version of reptile junk food. Crickets are the worst. I loathe them. They are the worst. And now we get to buy crickets because we have our water dragon that we love. He's goofy.
Next on the list for the animals that we got at the show, we got a little sneak peek of what they were. Some Australian stick insects. They get about 5 to 6 inches. Right now they're really tiny babies. They're really fun to play with. If I'm like reading a book or something, I'll have it just sitting on my glasses and it'll just hang out there.
There he is, shaking like a leaf, like most of these types of animals do. And these guys are from Australia. So we were thrilled to be able to find these at the Reptile show. We got them from the Bug Zone. We'll have a link down in the description. The interesting thing about these animals is these are all females. These animals are what's called parthenogenic. And what that means is they don't need a mate to be able to produce offspring. So what they do is they create clones of themselves when they lay their eggs. And that's very common for stick insects, but these ones, males do exist, but aren't necessary for reproduction. So once they grow up and get big, then we should have lots of little eggs. Very cool animals. So we'll put these guys back. If I can. It's a little tricky sometimes. They are so willing to explore that sometimes it's a little tricky getting them to go where you want, because they're so happy to just climb around, and look at that, they're gonna play along just perfectly. So thank you guys. Next up, we have a super cool addition, and I will be using tongs. And this is something we will not be holding. This is our
There he is.
This is our baby centipede. Beautiful and very cool. So far, it's eaten 2 red runner roaches, and the way it moves around is just fantastic, as you're seeing in the video.
And right now it's pretty cute.
It's pretty great. Yes. As cute as it is, it's not something we are going to do a lot of messing around with. As we're excited to see it get big. It's a close cousin of the centipede that we already have, that we got as an adult.
A big one.
So we're very excited to have one, see it grow up and get big. They are fascinating creatures and quite voracious. Their venom is very potent, and they take down animals that are easily at least their size, if not bigger, to be able to eat them. Fantastic and really pretty. So we picked that up from our friend Jonah at Bellingham Arachnids. It's always good to see him there. This is kind of a cool part, something we haven't done in our episodes before. But the next thing is we got 4 tarantulas. And the cool thing about these tarantulas is they were on our list of tarantulas we really want to keep. So to be able to go to the show, see them and pick them up is just super exciting. The extra bonus is where we got them from.
We got them from Twisted Silk Exotics. And the good thing about that is that we got our first tarantula from there.
The funny thing is that they even remembered
No.
that a year ago, Gwen could not pick which her first tarantula would be. And so she burst into tears trying to decide, and they remembered that. The girl who cried because she loved tarantulas too much. That sounds like a good book.
I'd rather not be remembered as the girl that cried, but
Yeah.
they remembered me. So.
Yeah, that works. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to give these tarantulas their new home. We are going to do 3 of them. The reason we aren't going to do the 4th is we woke up to a tarantula that was molting. So we're going to give that one a day before we transferred over.
First up is the GBB tarantula. Chromatopelma cyanopubescens.
What is that? What is it?
Chromatopelma cyanopubescens. Yeah.
Good enough. The GBB. This was number 1 on Gwen's list of tarantulas that she wants to keep. They're prolific webbers. They just need a couple of points to be able to anchor a web to in their enclosure, and then they make the whole thing into a web. So right now we're going to walk through the process of rehousing this one. So, some of you might be nervous about tarantulas. You love the tarantulas and spiders and the idea of them, but you're concerned about biting and interactions. And really, if working with tarantulas the right way, you shouldn't have to do any interacting with them if you don't want to. And the trickiest time of dealing with a tarantula is rehousing them and moving them to a new enclosure. And some keepers have developed a way of doing that that really makes life easy. So we are going to show you that process and see how it goes. So the idea is to push the tarantula up in to this cup here, and once it's up in the cup we can cover it and move it to its new house. So we're going to push it up here, get it up there. Perfect. Nicely done. Thanks for playing along. So then you just slide the other card underneath, and now there's no way for the tarantula to get out. We'll put it here, and we will put the card under with the opening, slide out the solid card, and now we just have to coax our tarantula friend back down into its new enclosure. Now this is probably overkill for this tarantula. Normally I wouldn't, there we go.
That works.
Normally I really wouldn't do this with such a tiny tarantula, but right now we'll get you a little close-up of this beauty in here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? There we at. There we go. This beautiful tarantula right there. So now I'm going to add in some water, because even though these tarantulas love the dry, when tarantulas are young they don't have a waxy coating on them, so it's easy for them to dry out and dehydrate. So we will close that up and move on to the next one.
So this next one, the Davis pentaloris, Guatemalan tiger rump, it already has a name. Its name is Popo because its carapace is a copper color, and copper is Popo.
That's right. Copper like police. Get it? Funny joke.
Yeah.
All right. So this was number 1 on my list of tarantulas I wanted to keep. They only get 3 inches, so they stay pretty small, but they're gorgeous. Lightning quick, as you can see in this feeding video. And just stunning, stunning tarantulas. So these are also terrestrial, but as they're younger, they like a hiding place and they have no problem digging like most tarantulas. So we will try to coax it out and see if we can't get it into its new house. Now we have these here, these little cups.
When working with tarantulas, you never know if they're gonna bolt. So these are for, if it runs, we can just put on top and...
That's right. You always want to be prepared. So we're going to try to coax our friend out. Ooh.
Found him.
There we are. There we go. Come out and play.
He's so pretty.
Come out and play. There we go. Perfectly done. A little excitement there for our friend. So we will try to lift this up. Lock it off. There we go. Beautiful tarantula. Gwen wants to high five our friend.
High five.
High five. There we go. He's trying to reach outside of his prison. But lucky for him, we have a brand new beautiful home for him to run into. So we will work on that right now. Switch cards. There we go. And now we are going to coax our friend back into his new house, where he should be very happy. Right now he's a little upset with us, and I don't blame him. But we're going to say, buddy, you need to go down. You don't need to go up.
But he wants to go up.
You don't need to go up. You need to go down. Come on. Come on.
Just use the lid.
Go. Go down. Come on.
Down, down.
Down is the right way, not to me. Come on. Now, one interesting thing about tarantulas is they don't have memories. So, as long as it makes it through this okay, it's not going to be angry or remember this and hold it against us. They really work on instinct. So, their goal... There we go. We got a jumper. So, he's down in his new house there. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. Now he probably thinks we're going to be messing with him a whole bunch, but we're not. We are done messing with this beauty. But there you can get a good look. Oh, just beautiful. I'm super pumped. You can tell. Alright, so we will add some water. We'll cover him up. Because this is just a tiny, tiny sling, we're going to just rehouse the normal way.
This, if you remember, it's our Aphanopelma chalcodes. We have an adult girl. She's pretty big. And this one looks nothing like it, and it's tiny.
So, you can see here, we don't have a water dish in here, mostly because it's too small. But what we do have is these little plastic plants that I've hot glued, and so we can use that as a water dish. So we're going to coax it out. Gwen, hold your hand out.
Yay. Adorable.
So cute. There we go. So there you can see this tiny little tarantula. So super cute tarantula. It's hard to believe that this is just going to turn into a just fat giant of a tarantula someday. Brush it back into its house. And it's still going to want to find... There we go. Perfect. So that's it for our new tarantulas. We also did pick up, as you saw in the opening, a couple of Vietnamese stick bugs. So slightly different. Eat basically the same thing, kept basically the same as the other stick bugs, but you can see a very different look. Just as docile, just as fun to play with and hold, and really unique looking. We're excited to pick these up. That brings us to the end of the episode, but before we do, we need to answer the question of the day. So let's go to Kelsey to give us the question for today.
This is from David H., and he asks, do any of the arachnids get to hang out in the same terrarium, or is it best to keep them separate?
Generally, spiders are pretty solitary.
One of them would end up eating the other one for just about all of the spiders. There are instances, for example, our wolf spider, if she lays an egg sac and the eggs hatch, the spiderlings will live on her back until they're ready to go off on their own. So none of them really live communally, except for a couple of types of tarantulas. But really a great question. Thank you so much for watching our little YouTube channel. We appreciate it. We notice every comment. Gwen gets very excited whenever there's a new comment or like or subscriber.
Remember to go down in the comments and ask us a question that we might answer in a future video. And while you're down there, you can like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell.
After the video's over, I'm going to put some of the photos of our new animals in the video. So until next time, don't be afraid.
Be educated.
See you next time.
Ew, that is a freaking lot of pee. Oh.
All right. So now you've heard that...
Oh, frozen, I just killed the bug.
I guess we have our outtakes, don't we?